Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the weather warnings as we still have yellow snow and ice warnings issued over the next 24 hours or so, but this cold spell is now starting to wind down. However, through the weekend, we're going to flip from one extreme to the other. Come Sunday, we could be seeing pretty severely stormy weather for the whole of the British Isles. We are going to see the jet stream reactivate from the west, and it is going to push through some really deep areas of low pressure with very tight isobars, giving the risk of wind gusts pretty widely around the 60 to 70 mile per hour point, maybe as high as 80 to 90 miles per hour for western coasts. We already have warnings issued for that, and they have been updated today. No named storm yet and no amber warnings, but I do think that is something that we could see tomorrow, as then we'll be getting into the sort of 48, 72 hour time frame. From the looks of the latest runs, definitely looks like there's going to be a named storm on Sunday, and even the possibility we see another storm on Tuesday. But I'll highlight why the risk for that potentially is slightly lower. So we'll have a look at the latest for the weather warnings for these potential storms, and we'll have a look at the latest UKV highlighting the wind gusts, and then of course we'll have a look at some of the long range charts, not only looking at the risk of stormy weather over the next few days, but of course the extended range as well, so we can see what is going to be happening beyond that, because as we head into next week, we could see high pressure starting to make more of an influence. And even some of the runs that we have seen some indications through in the last few days, there is the risk of a high pressure system maybe building towards Scandinavia towards the end of the month, which could be a precursor to easterly winds, perhaps by the end of January or early February, which could reintroduce colder weather. And of course, snowfall again. And with the winds coming from the east, it could mean more of a widespread risk than what we've had with this northerly. That is something we'll touch on at the end of the video for the longer range. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see there are still quite a few snow showers around. They are starting to wind down. As I'm recording this, we still have about an hour left of that amber warning for parts of northern Scotland, as it does expire at 6 PM. But as I said, by the time most of you watching this, that amber warning will have expired, and we'll be left with an array of yellow warnings. Those snow showers continue to pack in for many coastal areas, and we have seen a dusting for quite a few coastal areas over the past 24 hours. Down towards East Anglia, towards North East England, a few areas have seen some snow showers creep in, North Wales, even into North West England, and we've even seen some surprise snowfall across parts of the South West, where we still have some remnants of the Pembrokeshire Dangler. Not a particularly strong Pembrokeshire Dangler this time, i.e. That's just the name for the sort of convergence zone that we can get appearing through the Irish Sea. Not a particularly strong one, but nevertheless, because the ground's so cold, falling in this morning, it did mean we did see some slight accumulations in places. And then, of course, the focus zones again across Northern Ireland and Northern Scotland. We have continued to see pretty heavy snow showers moving in, and many areas there at least getting 10 to 20 centimetres of snow on the ground, maybe as much as 30 to 40 centimetres in some places. Now, the temperatures are going to be absolutely freezing, and as I said, I'm recording this around 4:30, 5. The sun is setting for all now, and you see temperatures are already close to freezing, if not below freezing, and we are going to see those temperatures plummet once again. We did see temperatures widely down to -5 last night, and down to locally -10 or below that, and we are likely to see a similar freeze tonight. However, through tomorrow night, it will still be cold, but it won't be as cold. So only one more night of absolutely frigid conditions to get through before things start to slowly turn milder. If you put on the past 24-hour precipitation, you'll be able to see where we've seen the most recent snowfalls. Again, for those coast areas, North East England, East Anglia, North Wales, into parts of South Wales actually there, bit into South West England, and then of course the focus points across Northern Ireland, bits of Republic of Ireland, and then again Northern Scotland. You can see where we have had the amber warning issued, where these purple colours are 20 to 30 centimetres snow have fallen in the past 24 hours, meaning overall totals 30, 40, maybe even as much as 50 centimetres in places. Luckily, most of this region is pretty rural, and pretty low population density, so the impacts haven't been too extreme as if this was further southwards or even across the central belt, for example, but still pretty severe indeed. Now, if you go over to the weather warnings, you can see the amber warnings are about to expire at 6 p.m. this evening, so we won't be having a look at those. But we have got a widespread snow and ice warning that goes to midnight tonight, and again, just for further snow showers, but they are ramping down. Again, could see a few more centimetres of snow, but again, the 50 to 20 centimetres, we're not looking likely to see that much additional snowfall as the showers do start to wane. And then we've got a nice warning issued for much of Wales and the southwest of England from 6 p.m. this evening until 10 a.m. tomorrow, and that is again because of those showers associated with the Pembrokeshire Dangler, or remnants of those showers that fell through this morning. Giving moisture on the ground means overnight tonight with those temperatures plummeting, we could see quite a few icy conditions. So again, ice warning issued here. And again, we're not expecting any major showers, but it's more because of surfaces damp or snow covered, and we could see icy patches come from those. Into tomorrow, still got snow and ice warnings issued. We've got that ice warning issued across parts of Wales and southwest England still. Ice warning for Northern Ireland for 10 hours tomorrow morning from midnight until 10 a.m. As again, we do have frequent snow showers at the moment, but with those snow showers waning, we do again see ice forming where we have got a lot of moisture on the ground. And then a more widespread snow and ice warning for much of Scotland again for midnight until 3 p.m. But interestingly, you can see it's not including western coast, and this is because slightly milder air is going to start to come in, and that will mean really it's further inland and over the higher ground where we will start to see those showers fall to snow. Again, further accumulators of 5 to centimetres are possible over low ground, and even 10 to 20 centimetres possible above 300 metres, but you can see it is 300 metres, with the snow becoming increasingly confined to the higher ground as we progress through the day. So you can see milder air is moving through tomorrow, still will be some snow around, but for the majority it will be turning milder by the end of the day. Again, nothing amazingly warm at all, just probably above freezing, thawing a lot of the snow. But into the weekend, you can see Saturday, no warnings, and then Sunday we get a whole array of warnings. Now, I've seen the wind warning updated today, but now we've seen rain warnings issued, because we are going to have issues with rain falling out the sky, but many of these areas have got snow on the ground, and that snow will be melting quite quickly, as the temperatures could get up to the low to mid-teens come Sunday, so we could see a lot of issues with flooding. If we first look at the widespread the wind warning from 6 a.m. on Sunday till 6 a.m. On Monday, again, very strong widespread winds. We could be seeing widely 50 to 60 miles per hour, maybe as much as 60 to 70, and from the latest models, maybe even 80 to 90 looks very possible. You can see it is medium impact, low likelihood, but I suspect this is going to change in the next 24 hours as we do get into the 48 to 72 hour time frame for this storm system. I do think these will be upgraded, and I do think this system will be named. Whether it gets named by Met Ciaran or the Met Office, this system definitely at the moment looks like it's going to be named. But if you do run through the rain warnings, we've got a rain warning issued for much of central Scotland, again from 12 p.m. until midnight. Again, 50 to 70 millimetres of rain, but then of course on top of the thawing snow, we could again see flooding. Rain warnings issued again across parts of southern Scotland there and into northern England. The northern England one is a different warning, and again, heavy rain, 30 to 50 millimetres widely, maybe as much as 80 to 100 millimetres, and again, lying snowfall will melt, and that will cause perhaps more disruption. And then a rain warning across much of Wales, especially western Wales here, from 6 a.m. on Sunday until 6 a.m. on Monday. Again, perhaps seeing 20 to 50 millimetres of snow, maybe as much as 80 to 100 millimetres. Not got as much as lying snow around, so not suspecting as many issues as that, but there is still some snow over the higher ground, which will mean, again, thawing snow could be an issue. And then into Monday, we've got those warnings still lasting. I do suspect there are still substantial changes to come to this, perhaps extending that wind warning further eastwards and southwards, because even the London area could be seeing 60 to 70 miles per hour come Sunday. And I do think there is definitely scope for amber warning and a named status for this storm. Now, if you do look at the latest UKV, we can have a look at this in detail over the next 5 days. You can see the snow showers continue to pack in through today, but they will slowly start to peter out through this evening. Could see longer spells of precipitation for Scotland, which will fall as snow over higher ground. Basically, there's more rain mixing in there overnight as we do start to see those temperatures rise. So I suspect if we still had very cold air in place, we could probably see that amber warning stretch into tomorrow, but it's because it's becoming less, or it's becoming more marginal. And it does mean that many of those Worse affected areas will start to see a bit more of a mix or see those temperatures starting to drift upwards. Into tomorrow, those snow showers continue across Scotland, but as I said, rain further westwards, and for low-lying areas, we are seeing more rain mixing in there. And then as we head into Friday afternoon, cloud approaching from the west, slowly giving a rise to those temperatures, but still could be a frost in the east overnight. And then we start to see the first batch of rain moving in. Could be snow over the high ground of Scotland, but for most it is rain, and it's just introducing milder air. But it's as we head into Sunday. Initially, heavy rain to wake up to in the morning, especially if up very early, but it should clear by the mid-morning, and then we see the next batch of very heavy rain, and this is the proper storm system moving in. Very strong winds associated with this, and raining all Sunday afternoon through much of the evening, even seeing some line convection developing there, which could whip up those winds further. And look across the Highlands of Scotland, very little snow at all, indicating very mild air is going to be moving in. And that is the signal through much of Sunday into Monday. Eventually the winds do die down, but I suspect as we head into Tuesday, this next low approaching from the southwest, which we can't quite have a look at yet, is giving the risk of another storm system, bringing another batch of very strong winds. But from the latest runs, especially the mid to longer range runs, as we'll have a look at in a couple minutes' time, they are bringing the wind field slightly further northwards, so not impacting as many areas, but still could be as intense as that system on Sunday, with again 80-90 mile per hour winds looking possible. If you do put on those wind gusts, you can see through the weekend it will be fairly gusty on Saturday, 40, 50, maybe even 60 mile per hour gusts in places, but it's really into Sunday we see that big wind field moving in. Look at that widely 50 to 60 mile per hour, even inland. So I'm surprised that wind warning hasn't been extended for the whole of England now. And you can see where the strongest winds will be across the Irish Sea there, 60, 70, and as high as 80, maybe even up to 90 miles per hour locally. So I suspect there could be an amber warning issued for this across parts of Wales and northern England, and maybe even southwest England there. And I do suspect this will be named to have a look at these latest winds. Through Sunday evening into Monday, those winds will continue to move through, but will slowly die away into the morning. And then eventually, as we head into Tuesday, we could see the next system to the southwest approach, but again, we can't quite have a look at it in detail at this stage. Now, if you look at the temperatures, so for the past week or so, we've just been talking about freezing cold temperatures, ice days, temperatures -5 to -10 overnight, but that's all going to change. It could be well over +10 degrees in the day, and maybe even overnight, as the incredibly mild air starts to move in. Now, through this afternoon, temperatures hardly got above freezing in many areas, 0 to 2 degrees, especially colder than that where we've had snow. Into tonight, temperatures widely again down towards -3 to -5, or even down to -10 in some areas. And by tomorrow afternoon, still cold, but nudging up slightly, maybe 3 or 4 degrees. Saturday's going to be the real transition day. Still a frost in the south and the east overnight, but by Saturday afternoon, temperatures widely now, maybe 4 to 7 degrees. Some parts of the Republic of Ireland, 9 or 10, and you can see as we head into Sunday, incredibly mild air approaches, double digits in many areas by the afternoon, and those temperatures will actually rise overnight, maybe 12 or 13 degrees, and into Monday, cooling down slightly, 8 or 9, but still very mild indeed as we see those low pressure systems move in. You can see that from the upper air temperatures, it goes from -8 to -10 degrees like we have right now, up towards positive 7 to 10 degrees come Sunday evening into Monday before cooler air does sweep in on the backside. But of course, it's a bit of a polar maritime air mass, so at the surface it wouldn't be too cold at all. But if we do have a look at the longer range now, we start on the latest GFS, which is just updating. And just a hint there that we saw a bit of a Scandinavian high building. We'll have a look at that in a minute's time or so. You can see the westerly winds pushing in at the moment, and then you see these storm systems getting carried by the jet stream. Very strong system there into Monday. That could be pretty troublesome indeed through Sunday night. And then we see another system moving in for Tuesday, but as I said, it is further northwards, so it could mean the most severe winds are primarily across Scotland, but still could cause some significant issues. We'll have to pinpoint that nearer the time. Beyond that, though, we do see high pressure building in, which should halt those storm systems a bit. And it will mean that further southwards it could be drier, but it also could be very mild because, well, the jet stream's diving southwards in the mid-Atlantic, it will drive southwesterlies in. But it could be a bit of a false flag, because into the longer range we are seeing signals of high pressure trying to move towards Scandinavia. At the moment, though, the biggest problem we've got is the very strong polar vortex, or lobe of tropospheric polar vortex, towards northern Canada and southern Greenland. Doesn't look like it's going anywhere, so it's going to be a bit of a battleground situation between this higher pressure building towards Scandinavia and the very strong low pressure systems out towards the North Atlantic. But the GFS here has a real good go at developing that Scandinavian high and does try to push easterly winds in and does get a bit of an easterly flow in, does try and pull in some pretty cold air indeed, and it would go pretty frigid there. Probably not particularly snowy because we are under relatively high pressure, but it would go pretty wintry indeed in terms of frost and very cold temperatures. Again, with a flat easterly wind coming straight off the continent, it would feel absolutely frigid out there. Again, if we zoom in the United Kingdom look, we see temperatures widely down towards freezing. Daytime temperatures hardly going above freezing, especially for central areas. So it would be very cold indeed, but because that pressure is so high, I doubt we would see much wintriness associated with this at all. But it's all because it's the battle between this lobe of tropospheric polar vortex and this higher pressure. It's one of those where we'll just have to see which one wins out. And there's the risk, because this is an extended range, that the high pressure could be stronger than initially forecasted and the low pressure could be weaker, or vice versa. We will just have to keep you updated. But that is definitely the longer term trends at this stage. It's for higher pressure to try and push towards Scandinavia. We'll just have to see how successful it is within the next week or two. Now, if we go over to WX charts and have a look at those wind gusts through the weekend. So we head into Sunday, see pretty strong winds through Saturday night, but it's these extremely strong winds through Sunday. Look at that, widely 100 plus kilometres per hour, and again, maxing out 140 out in an Irish Sea, and that is getting up towards 80 or 90 miles per hour. So that is very strong indeed and could be extremely disruptive through Sunday evening. So I suspect this system will be named, just looking at the strength of these winds and the widespread nature of these winds as well. Now to Tuesday, we see another very strong system move in, and it perhaps even got stronger winds towards the core, 100 plus mile per hour winds potentially in that core there. But it's more primarily impacting Scotland. So it would be very strong, it would be as disruptive, potentially sort of numbers-wise, it could be as strong as Sunday, or even stronger than Sunday's system, but it might only impact far northern areas. So again, it'll be one to watch, especially if this gets named, or with those warnings, which will probably be coming in the next few days. But if you do go over to the GM, see what that is showing over the next 10 days. Again, it only goes out to 10 days, so I doubt it's showing too much in the way of a Scandinavian high. But those low pressure systems continue to coming through the west over the coming days. Pretty stormy indeed. And then again, you can see we are seeing outbreaks of higher pressure up towards Scandinavia, and it is having a go at producing easterly winds. But just look at this very strong westerly that's trying to push in. You can see the upper level winds are driving the jet stream north, which is indicative with a blocking pattern. That would definitely encourage high pressure to build towards Scandinavia, but it is how strong will it get? And because the high pressure isn't too far north, the cold pool out towards our east isn't particularly strong. Lots of the cold air is on the other side of the pole, spilling out into Russia, out towards Alaska. We'd really need to see this high pressure properly establish itself to be drawing anything more than the -5 degree isotherm. Remember, the beast from the east saw down again close to -15 to -20 degree isotherm, and there is none of that to be seen to our east at this time frame. We need to see a lot more of this colder air spread southwards to be having a go at anything like that. But definitely showing a cooler, drier pattern that could turn very cold in the subsequent days or even subsequent weeks. If we do look at the ECMWF, again, westerly winds continue to come over the coming days. Very unsettled, stormy conditions as those lows move through, and then again into the extended range, high pressure trying to build up towards Scandinavia, not quite having as much success as the other runs, with extremely deep low out in the Atlantic, and it is driving initially some very mild air over the top of us, but by the end of this run, high pressure started to build up, and it could mean we start to see cooler, fresher conditions. But similar to the GM, we've not got that much cold air to our east to tap into at all, so it could be a bit more of a longer game there, maybe February to see anything colder than average to slightly below average. So if we head over to WX charts again, if we head into Sunday again, that very strong system moving in does delay it a little bit, coming through slightly later, but very strong nonetheless. Not quite as strong as the GFS, max only here around the 128 mark, so perhaps only 75 to 80 mile per hour gusts instead of maybe 85 to 90 like the GFS was showing, but still strong enough for widespread yellows, locally amber, and potentially a name status. Into Tuesday, that next system moves through. And again, not quite as strong as the GFS makes it out to be. And of course, it is slightly further southwards, so it'd have more widespread, stronger winds, but wouldn't have an extremely strong core like the GFS has. So you can see both the GFS and the ECMWF agree that some very strong systems are coming through. The ECMWF just has that Sunday system, not quite as intense, and has the Tuesday to Wednesday system slightly further southwards, giving more widespread impacts, but perhaps not quite as high impacts in local areas. So it is going to be one to watch, but definitely does look highly likely now we see some disruptive stormy weather through the weekend into early next week. Just got to pinpoint the details on the exact wind gusts and have to see if these systems do get named. Now just to finish, if we go to the ensembles, now the latest GFS ensembles haven't quite fully come out yet, only out to 8 days, so we'll have a look at the 6 o'clock run, and you can see generally it's up and down, but mostly above average in the next couple of weeks. You can see towards the latter part of January we are seeing some very cold runs appearing, about a handful, maybe 4 or 5, and these are the ones that are starting to push in easterly winds. So it is a possibility in the extended range, but I would definitely probably favour the last day or two of January at the earliest, or early February for anything majorly cold, which is the earliest of some of these ensemble members. Again, it's not got a lot of agreement at this stage, but we are trending more towards average there, and precipitation is a lot lower, so that high pressure build that we could see in around a week's time is definitely looking like quite a plausible, if not quite likely scenario. It's just the model's not quite sure if it is going to be able to get up towards Scandinavia. You see that from the sea level pressure dips in next week as the lows move through, and then generally higher pressure in the longer range. Dew points as well, very mild for a time next week, but then they drop back close towards freezing again, and that would be symbolic of higher pressure building in, and perhaps a feed coming in off the continent. It doesn't mean it's going to be mild, it doesn't mean it's going to be very cold, but it will feel fresher, drier air, typically what we'd expect with a bit of an easterly, southerly or northeasterly flow. Now if we do have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare, again very similar, very much up and down. Longer term, not quite as many signals for anything remotely cold though, definitely showing higher pressure building in, but as the precipitation signal isn't quite as high, but really no definitive signal here in the longer range, just generally average, just slightly above average upper air temperatures. Yes, it looks mild, it looks about 4 or 5 degrees above average, but I wouldn't say it looks incredibly mild. If we got those upper air temperatures consistently up towards 10 degrees, then I would probably say it is looking very mild indeed. Similar, if those upper air temperatures, like right now, down to -5 to -8, it is cold, but it's not exceptionally cold. -10 and below would start to get towards the exceptionally cold pattern. So we're pretty much going to reverse from cold, if not pretty cold indeed, up towards mild, towards that very mild range in the space of a couple of days, about a 15-degree upper air temperature switch. So it's going to be interesting to see what's happening over the next few weeks. We are going to be swapping very cold conditions at the moment to pretty mild conditions indeed, and potentially very stormy as well. But there are signs that we could see that Scandinavian high arrive towards the end of the month, and that could, as I said, bring colder conditions back from the east. But it is going to be one to watch, and it is an extended range, so I wouldn't put too much thought into it yet. But it is just one to keep a close eye on. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. I'll keep you updated with all the weather warnings over the coming days. I suspect there will be quite a few coming in the next day or two as these storm systems arrive through the weekend and next week. So it is looking likely to be pretty disruptive. So you're probably going to have to swap your hat and gloves out for a waterproof come this weekend. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.